is not the glorious destiny God envisaged for you. Sure, you know. He didn't envisage you going outside to make you call.
I'm ashamed to even admit it.
Rap,
Yeah.
if you give her one corner for your parlor, I mean, you did there do corner.
Emeka, they suffer everybody not suffer for this country. And they tell you everything. All my trousers don't they jump.
Boy, you don't need to tell me about Nigeria problem.
No, all my trousers don't they jump. All my trousers don't they jump. My teeth. I don't know what the kind of food where they chop. All of them they get gap. Gap just inside my teeth. I don't know if it's hunger. You know,
Don't be hunger. Dollar they cost her. Dollar to naira.
Dollar they go.
Your mouth, your body no understand what in the happen.
You don't understand them. Even these days, before everything say you know many things. You can't even toast again because you're ashamed of toasting her. If she asks you, when she asks you recharge card money now, you just be ashamed, start stammering. Everything has just changed.
You get angry.
I hate girls now. I hate girls. Not because of it's just out of poverty. I'm telling you. Hey, Queen is here. Queen, sorry. I didn't see you.
Yes.
You don't want to hear that kind of thing, no.
No, Queen, I didn't see you, I swear. I don't see you. I love girls and I get money die in their father and house.
So,
which one?
Please help us with this your topic. Yeah. Looking well in a way that we can understand and contribute.
Boy, Emeka, please don't speak big English here. Please.
No other.
But I know English. I mean, make you speak because some of us won't come Canada. Make you follow and speak that big English.
Okay, so let me. I mean, it's good to see all of you again. To start with, it's been a long time, and thankfully, like
I saw people in abroad they talk. I mean, no problem. How God will judge you.
Yeah, it's good to see you all again. I remember when we did drag this thing for Pavilion.
Emeka, what are you saying now? What are you saying?
Greetings. Are they right?
Good to see you.
How about it now?
We did. Thank God.
Thank God.
We are still standing.
Just they look everybody big. I'm ashamed of all of us. That is you.
We are still surviving. But yeah, so when Ralph was asking about, sorry, is somebody saying something?
No, nobody's saying anything.
Okay, yeah. When Ralph was asking about the topic, of course, naturally you think about what you're more inclined to what comes to mind first. So I have been thinking of you guys know I just moved and everything. So like one of the things that I think about a lot, and it was a conversation I had with somebody last year, around November or so, that this person heard that when people relocate country or whatever, their personality tends to change. And I was thinking, at this point in my life, like how dramatically am I supposed to change? I believe I'm at an age where the core of my personality should have formed by now and everything. So like what drastic change, whatever can you expect? So I thought about it a lot more and everything, and kind of reflected back to just like through the years and everything, and how we are constantly, on an evolution journey. Some of us, like Raf, are like apostles of evolution in terms of like human development, like the whole evolution theory from what's that guy's name again?
Al Pacino.
No. The guy behind evolution.
Darwin.
James
Darwin,
Blunt.
exactly. Charles
Darwin.
Darwin, yeah. Charles Darwin. But yeah, not in that sense. Just so the way I'm thinking about it is that gradual, continuous process of change that we all experience through our lives. And if you read the note, there were 3 things I highlighted sort of to guide the conversation. So, and this is not personal development. This is, just think of it as personal change, like how you change in different ways. In some cases, it's very subtle. You don't realize it in the moment, but 3 months down the line, you're thinking differently, you're reacting differently to different situations, your fears are different, your hopes, your dreams, your expectations, the way you interact with people, all those things, it comes from a certain picture, and there are 3 main pillars. So the first is like the things we know, or knowledge. The next is the things we experience, right? Different things we experience that shape us. And then the third thing is synthesis. So that is both bringing, so as you, at every point in time, you exist. What was that thing they said about tabula rasa or whatever? You exist not as a tabula rasa, but you are shaped by your past knowledge, your past experiences, and as you go along every day, you hear something. Somebody, you're having a conversation, they say, "Oh my guy, I just say this is that." It adds to that already existing, I'm looking for the word, but like, think of it as the basket of fruits, right? So you're adding one more fruit to it, that kind of thing. So you have that, you experience new things, different things happen, and these things change something, these things shape you, these things add to the picture. So you have your existing knowledge, your existing experiences, and then there's new knowledge and new experiences. And then we juxtapose that. I like that word a lot, because just think of it as like where you're mixing, I don't know, a dough for snacks or something like that, or cake or whatever. You put in different things and then you mix it and it comes into one consistent, whatever you call it. So we experience this such that all these things come into play, and then they change you. Sometimes, most times actually, it happens gradually. Like I was telling Raf the other day, you think back to some conversations you had 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and you really wonder if it was the same you that said this thing. If you're active on Twitter, for instance, like you read some of your old tweets and you know that, yes, I tweeted this thing with all confidence last year, for instance, but I will not tweet this kind of thing again today. But it's the same you. Like you're not a completely different person, but like, you've evolved. Exactly, you've evolved. So let's think of it, you could pick on any perspective. You could pick on your worldview. I like this thing about worldview, because if you remember when we had that debate about politicians and everything in Nigeria before 2019 race, 2020, was it this year? No, it was last year, right? They did the election, Moghalu and co. And when I was telling you guys that, the reason I connected more with that guy was because he has a worldview. I'm very big on that, because I try to be conscious. Everybody has a worldview. Some people are conscious of it. Some people are not. Most people are not very conscious of it. But like, everybody has a worldview. This is a lens. It's like, if I wear dark shades, I'm in this bright room, but then the room will look dark to me. And if they ask me to describe this room, I'll say it's dark here. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm not in the same situation. If Ralph is here with his clear eyes and you say the room is bright, but then we'll never agree. Because let's say I didn't know that I have the shades on. Let's say it's a subconscious thing, right? The room will be dark to me, and I will argue beginning to end that this room is dark, because that is my worldview. That is how I see the world. So the only way, or the thing that differentiates us, is that lens through which we see the world and see and interpret things. So not just the worldview thing, but also like like, what are your dreams? What are your hopes? What are your belief systems? What are the things that sound credible to you? There are some things I'll say to Raf, he will be more accepting of them than saying it to Uzo, right? And then this is again because they have 2 different perspectives. They interpret that information with different perspectives from different lenses, and they have different experiences that have shaped them and all of that stuff. So just really being more conscious about it, and then thinking through through the years, like so far as I've come, how do I think about personal evolution? And this is to our conversation. We're going to open it up. Like, so think about, how do I think about personal evolution? What does it mean to me? What are the main areas that I look out for? And then how have I tried to be conscious of that, to guide, like to be more conscious and get a richer experience from life, and understand that, the journey, all these things we do, I'm hustling, I'm doing this, I'm applying to a new job, I'm doing this, and blah, 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 blah. If you pull up a level higher, there is, what I believe, and this is, I think, the central thesis of this conversation is that evolution process is probably the most important thing behind our existence. We are constantly in a process. It's like a journey. When you say life is a journey, like we are constantly in that process of evolution. So if you're not very conscious of it, and if you're not making your decisions and really taking stock at every point in time as much as possible, you just finish a conversation, you feel a certain way, and you're not sure why, but many times you just overlook it and just continue our daily life. You haven't sat down to think. There might be some conflict inside you because you've just gotten new information. There's existing information and existing beliefs and existing philosophy or whatever, but then there's some conflict in your subconscious, but then you're not thinking about it actively, and sometimes it's just there. And then these things shape us, but you've been shaped or you've been reshaped, but you're not conscious of it. So if you are, then you get a richer experience from life. Like every interaction, everything you read, everything you hear, everything you think about, you can then build on that to create new knowledge. I really like that theory of creating new knowledge. So like, more than you did yesterday, but like nothing drastic has happened to you today. You just combined what happened yesterday with little things that might have happened today, and then reflected on it to come up with it. It's like a scientific iteration process. So like the question to everybody is like, how do you think of personal evolution? What are the different things that have sort of shaped your personal evolution, and like how have you been conscious of it to get a richer experience out of life? So I hope it's clear enough. I know it sounds very conceptual, but
I get it.
I
get it, but it's really deep. It's something that ordinarily you would not just wake up and start thinking of. Except maybe you take LSD.
My guy, you know what made Emeka think about this till light day.
No, but the thing is, funny enough, when I look at maybe like a past 10 years ago or 7 years ago Facebook comment that I have made, like sometimes I look at it and think, this can never be me. I swear, I'm like, what was in my head that time? And I'm sure at that moment I was very confident in posting.
Yes.
Like, it's really deep. Like sometimes I always think about it sometimes, like what happened? I'm not this person, That's the space between this person and me now. There must be a lot that would have happened. Like you said, sometimes it's not something you see, but there must be something that must have happened, and I've been having a lot of thoughts, and most of the time when I have discussion with some people, I usually point it out, but not necessarily in the way you just explained it. I'm always psychologically inclined to explain things. So it might not really fall exactly in line with what you're explaining, but maybe it might make some sense, right? So I always look at, there's something I've been thinking about, and I've been doing a write-up about, of late, just on my own. And it's this idea of we are two beings, right? We are two beings, our conscious and then our subconscious. So our conscious is the one that we can control. Hello, can you guys hear me? Yeah, our conscious is the one that we can control. While the subconscious, we cannot control it, But the funny thing is that the subconscious, right, looks like something that is already installed. It doesn't ask for permission for it to react. You do some certain things. Now, you don't just know why you do it, but you just do it anyway. And I've always been having serious deep thoughts about it. Like, okay, look, the reason why you're addicted to something, the reason why you have particular habits, the reason why you do so many things, that you don't do it consciously, but it happens, is because they come from the subconscious, right? And one thing I always think about is how do we change, because if, for instance, let me give a very simple example. There are some people that always wake up late, or they always go to the office late. Like, it's just something like, or they always attend to things late. If you invite them somewhere, they are late, it's not like, and most of the time, those people, they can't help it. Like, they will promise you heaven and earth. The next time, say, don't worry, I promise you this time I will come early, right? And they will try, but they will still come late, And then that behavior itself, it's something more than the conscious, right? It's a subconscious behavior. And it's, the way I look at it is that it is programmable. So you program your subconscious, but we don't know how we program it, But the way I feel it's being programmed is based on everything. Subconscious is programmed by repetition, So if you wake up in an environment, right, that environment, every moment you wake up in that environment is like a repetition. You're seeing that thing over and over again. That's why when you say, oh, Nigerians, we have so and so attitude, it's because we wake up in Nigeria every day. After a long time, it becomes our character to behave loud, to get angry. It becomes all those things come from the subconscious. By the time you move to maybe Canada or the UK and stay there for a while, you become calm, because after a while, your repetition has changed. You're now waking up to a calmer environment continuously, gradually in your subconscious. So, and then it happens in everything, both in knowledge, right? One thing I notice is that the type of thing that I engage in within that time, that I say, oh, I wrote this Facebook post 7 years ago, but now if I write a post, it's a little bit different, right? Something must have happened between those years, right? Now, one of the things that must have happened is either I've changed my environment, right? Or I've changed the types of things that I am maybe reading or consuming.
Yeah.
Type of things I'm feeding my brain, repeatedly, not just once, repeatedly. Feeding my brain means maybe after reading some particular types of books now, right? Over time, my worldview started changing, right? Or after mixing with some particular type of people, over time, things will start changing in me. Or my engagement on social media, maybe the type of people I was following before is different from the type of people I follow now. Why? Because these are the little things that we do every day without necessarily knowing that it has a very big impact on our brain, because we don't do it consciously. Just like when you're driving, if you're driving from your office home every day, there are some times where you drive and your brain is somewhere thinking, but your brain muscle will take you home. We have all experienced that. And then there'll be a period where you come back to yourself and you'll be thinking, what have I been? I can't remember what I've been driving, but you've been driving okay. And your body is taking you home.
Yeah.
Because you have been doing that over time, and then it's now programmed in your subconscious. So one thing that what I want to say is that the subconscious is programmable, but the problem is that people don't know how it is being programmed. It's being programmed by repetition and by anything. It does not look at what is good or bad, right? So if you're engaging, for instance, in maybe all your social media engagement is on funny things that are funny, big girls shaking ass and all those kind of, like, that will be your mindset over time. That will now be your mindset over time, right? Richmond.
So sorry. So what you're trying to say now is that for something to become subconscious, it has to first be a conscious thing.
Yes, it starts.
A conscious thing you do over time before it becomes subconscious.
Not really conscious. Like for instance, you can be in an environment. It's not like it's a conscious. It's just it's not about you consciously doing it, but it's happening. Your brain is taking it in. Things are happening in your environment. Just like Lagos now. Everybody in Lagos is mad. It's not like we consciously want to be mad, right? But that's what the environment feeds us. If we wake up every day, enter traffic, conductor is shouting, people are driving reckless, and it programs your mind. It's a repetition of activity.
Anyway,
and your brain feeds on it. Sorry, I wanted to say something.
Hello? Yeah. Emeka, I understand what generally it's just. I think it's all growth. It's all growth and experiences that makes us change, right?
Yeah.
As Raphael said, environmental influence, societal influence, what we consume, what we see, what we've learned, interactions with people, all these things has a way of molding us. Yeah, you understand? And as you get older, you get matured, you have a sense of responsibility for yourself, right? You know certain things that you have to drop, and you know certain things that you would actually accept, right? So I, like as you said, if I read some of my old Facebook posts, I'm like, whoa, and did I write this? It's just because of change. Change is constant. Change is constant. You can't keep doing the things you are doing 10 years ago. I think that you keep doing it now. Change is constant in your lifestyle, your interaction with people. Over time, some people get more mature, they get more emotional intelligence, they learn how to interact with people. It just happens. It just comes. And I also believe, as you said, society. Yes, when you traveled out, because of how you've seen because of how the environment is, people are different. You tend to toe that line, right? You tend to toe that line of, for example, you being more polite. That culture of maybe, for example, being more polite, know how to talk to women. You know, you don't do all those. So just call police and arrest you. Just taking things. Yeah, it's true now. All those kind of places that they respect women. Not like Nigeria here that if they're near, they fit to get. So all this has a way of shaping you. You will notice that you see yourself doing it. You'll be doing it, as Raphael said, repetition. You understand? You for example, you go to a traffic light. You go to traffic light where you're supposed to cross. You see that green for people to cross, or you see traffic lights for people to cross the road, and for cars to pass, right? You see guys, even if you're still waiting for that green light to show before they cross. And you'll be like, okay, you'll do it today, you'll do it tomorrow, you do it next tomorrow, you do it next week. Just you're doing it for 6 months. Well, you know it's if you see another person just crossing without the crossing when it's red, you'll be like, this guy. Are you saying? Because your mind has already conditioned itself to that environment. But if you're reading more books about, for example, I noticed like another thing again, as you get older, your interest changes. The kind of book you want to read, the kind of movies you watch will change. For example, like right now, I enjoy reading books about politics, history, evolution. It's interesting. These are something like if I go back like 5 years ago and I tell myself, like, 5 years time, you're gonna read all this kind of like, what? Me read, but hey, it's just because your interest changes. You know, your interest changes over time, and that is growth. That is inevitable. Actually, it's just inevitable. That's what I just think.
No, but I have a question though. I have a question, though, guys.
Okay,
I have a question, please. You know, everybody has talked about evolution, you know. But do you think that there are pros and cons? I'm really looking at Africa as a continent. Are there pros and cons to this evolution process? Because, and this is, I want to shed some light at something that really bothers me. You know, everybody keeps talking about, environmental impact on on people, and the evolution happens, and then a lot of things changes and all that. But you will see that in Africa, especially, a lot of us adopt copying. I know. I hope you all understand what I mean by copying. Like
Yeah.
when you live, what exactly copying other cultures, right? The good and the bad, and then you give it that growth process. You give it that slug and growth or evolution. Are there pros and cons to this evolution process? And then if there are pros and cons, what are these cons? And how do they really affect us as Africans? And what can we do? What can we do to protect ourselves? And in as much as we're trying to, evolutionize and all that, how can we maintain the things that, our diversity, and still apply that evolution so that other people can come here and practice some of these things that are real? Because you will see something that just happened recently. In Madagascar, they found a drug that they say can actually cure coronavirus. But because it is not Western, we are even rejecting it as Africans. It's probably one of these African medicine, right? So now I think all of these things we've been saying bodies around evolution, because it's in medicine, it's in education, it's in our lives, it's in our relationships. You come to marriages. Now, African men, because I feel in a way, African men are built differently from the white man. From the white man. You'll see that the things that appeal to us are quite different. And if you see men that do so well, African men that do so well, there's a pattern they actually follow, even in marriages and all that. But now the white people come with a lot of semantics. They come with the court marriages. They come with, a lot of things. You see a Nigerian man having 3 weddings for his marriage, and people would call that evolution. But me and Uzoma, we've had this conversation once. So now I really want to know if, in all of this, all of us trying to evolutionize and all that, are there pros and cons, and what are the effects? Because we're not, even as much as Emeka is in Canada, I hope that he's learning a lot of stuff in Canada because we want to impact Africa. So what are the effects of all this evolution on Africa? And how can we retain what we are as Africa and still, put in some level of, transformation, evolution in them, but maintain our core? Exactly. I need the smart people to talk to me now because I need to learn.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, right? Like for me, there's a book I read that says that all these white guys that colonized African countries, right? What if they allowed Africa? What if they allowed African countries to develop themselves?
Amazing.
You understand? What if they allowed African countries to just grow at their own pace?
Find our own kind of government.
Find your own kind of
everything.
Yeah. Right. So everything. What I'm trying to say is, there's a book I read, The History of Political Order, right? So the book is saying that most of all these policies, or most of all these policies that we see in different countries,
are not adaptable.
It goes way back to the times of Jesus or Roman. It goes way back, and these are countries that pass through these different stages themselves without a lot of
outside
external influence.
Yeah.
Yes. So without a lot of external interference, right? So they were able to develop their own kind of political system, their own kind of laws and other, policies, because they grew with it. The book is also saying that like, for example, this Denmark that we are calling Scandinavian, Denmark that we are calling the happiest country, or 500 years ago, Denmark was a death ground. Vikings killing every time. We were fighting, killing each other. Vikings will go there, kill the English guys. English guys will come back, kill Vikings. Europe was a war ground. They were always fighting. France is fighting UK. Netherlands is fighting these guys. But what did they do? Netherlands brought a British king will bring his daughter and marry a Viking prince. So all these things fostered peace. My point is they did it themselves. They found the solution themselves. They were able to maintain their own way of life without a lot of external influence, right? They did it
Exactly.
themselves. They found the solution themselves.
Exactly.
But for us, it's all strategy. It's all strategy for us to look at whatever they're doing whatever they're doing is better. Their fashion, for example, if we watch now songs, we worship Gucci, Ferragamo, but you get it's so it's a strategic thing to make us look at them as
superior.
superior. Yeah. So it's a
Can I
strategic
come in?
thing.
Adan, I read my mind a lot.
Yeah, can I come in here? Two things I want to say up front is the first is, I don't want us to lose track of, the purpose of the conversation.
I'm sorry,
Exactly
Emeka,
what
just hold on 1 second. Sorry, before you continue, I want to resend the link because this one is going to go up in 30 seconds. So I want to resend the link.
So we should leave and connect to that one.
Yes.
Okay, guys, I'll see you in the next room. I'll see you guys, man.